Ho, here we go. Sunday Days 305, we in the building. We got Rob and Marvin in the building. So you already know what it is. Sunday Day 305, your newest content creator that always drop the hot, new, real. So on this rising, we're gonna deal with those of us that have regrets. Old regrets, whether that regret is something that you did a minute ago, an hour ago, a day ago, a week ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, a decade ago, a few decades ago, right? And so I at first I had wanted to title this thing "People That Been in Prison Suffer from PTSD," Brother Marvin. But then I want to define, what is a prison, brother? What is a prison? We know there are prisons built of steel and bars and concrete, but in my mind, this whole thing is a prison. So introduce yourself, man. Let us know what's going on. Let's go. This is uncut, it's raw, it's right off the rip. We not playing no games. If I might cry about it, I may cuss about it, I may holler about it. But y'all log in on the Sunny Days 305 YouTube page right now because we want some interaction. Hey, brother Rob and Marvin, let's do it. Come on, brother.
Well, first of all, like you said, I'm Robin Marvin. I mean, if you from the '90s, you may have heard about me. But let me just get something straight about this Robin Marvin. The Robin Marvin now is not the old Robin Marvin. So I know a lot of y'all out there talking about the old Robin Marvin, what he used to do back in the days. Nah. The Robin Marvin is spelled right now is Robbyn. And what I did was I associated my name Robin Marvin to my author name, because I wanted to show how now I'm trying to rob the game. You know what I'm saying? I ain't in the process of robbing drug dealers or tourists anymore. I'm trying to rob this $billion industry that's going on out there and this beautiful platform that we have. So I kind of like wanted to use Robin Marvin as symbolic. But anyway, I want to thank old Sonny for giving me an opportunity to come be on this platform. And as a preamble to that, I want to let you guys know that the stories you about to hear are real. You know what I'm saying? They may seem at some point like they are unbelievable, but they are real. And as an example of that, my homeboy Sonny did how many years?
Oh, I did 22.3 years in the feds.
22.3 years. I did 23 years, not 43, 23 years, 23 years, 2 months, and 20 days. So that may sound unbelievable, but that's 45 years sitting right here.
Right here.
That ain't no getting out with a small hiatus and coming back. That's 45 straight calendar years. I see a lot of people on social media, they talk about they did 27 years, but they done got out between those years and come back and 2-3 times and they done add them together. Nah. He did 22 calendar years, I did 23 calendar years. And I'm gonna just give you a little story about that, about the 23 years. When I first caught my time, I wanted to disassociate myself. I used to tell people, man, I'm not claiming that. So I had an OG tell me one time, well, you might not be claiming it, but they're gonna claim you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes,
so
sir.
you can act like you don't want to, act like you don't have it. And he was correct. I can't. I mean, I remember the holidays we used to have. Every day he used to give us this candy bag on Christmas. A big old grown man, we got a candy bag. And I had to say, man, I don't want that candy bag, man. I'm out of this shit in the next year. But guess what? Them years start progressing. Guess what? After a while, I started taking them motherfucking candy bags.
I remember that.
You know what I'm
And so I want to say this too, man, because like this is raw and uncut, right? So not only that I did 22.3 and Marvin did 23, we did some time together, man. Yeah. And like I knew him from the street, and from the street I knew him well enough that we could have bonded on the street. I knew him well enough, but me and him, we bonded in prison. I mean, bonded so much in the state, brother. And it takes one to know one. That's why I say I don't want to box this in a prison like this, a prison type conversation, because like I say, everywhere is a prison. So I remember, man, when that time, brother, It was fucking us up, bro. And bro, we would go, man, and we already walked every day, but some days them walks was different for us, bro.
Right.
Some days, man, we just cried, man. Probably for I don't know, man. In my mind, it probably for a year straight, but I know it wasn't a year,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But we walked that track for 10 minutes, man. Man, we fucked up, man. We fucked up.
And the biggest part of that, knowing you fucked up, is when you know you have all this time. I mean, we talk about he did 22 and I did 23. He had 35 years. That's 35 years of life. I had 30 years of life. So you have to understand, not only are we sitting around doing this time, but we don't know if we're gonna make it out. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if that 35 years or that 30 years gonna turn into life, because at any point something can happen, and that, you know, that time that seemed like is foreseeable can change in a drop in a minute. So we don't know that, and so we sitting here and we round these barbed wires, and we seeing dudes that's going home coming back.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And you know the mental stress that this has on us, and we just sitting up day after day after day, year after year, week after week. You know that can be, you know, you have to be mentally strapped to endure that. Wake up every day. And that's why I understand. I can't understand, but I understand that somebody waking up to a life sentence. You know what I'm saying? It's very much just not one life sentence. You got some dudes in there waking up to 2 life sentences.
And 6. I know one was 6. I remember when I had just got to my USP Atlanta, and our homie Mike D was there. You know, and so, you know, he worked in Unicor, so he convinced me, homie, you got to work anyway. You might well work where you're gonna get the most money. And so when me and my brother caught out 35 years in the county jail, that was big. You know what I mean? And so when we got to the USP Atlanta, you know, and started telling people we had 35 years, they were like, you know, they looked at us like, damn, I wish I had that. So Mike D, we was in Unico one day, and we were talking about this specific subject about me having 35 years. So he said, bro, you got 35 years. He said, look a dude over there. Dude got 6 life sentences. And so when he pointed his finger over there, my eyes and my head went that way. And when he said the dude had 6 life sentences, and looked like when I looked that way, looked like the dude looked in my eyes. And I looked back at Mike. I'm like, man, don't be doing that shit, man. Man got 6 life sentences, man. He probably want to kill somebody today, man.
Yeah.
Man, don't be doing that shit. So I'm looking at dude, and then I look back at him with a humble look, like, you know. And so, Brother Marvin, not only that, at sometimes we thought we wasn't gonna make it out. At certain times, me and my brother, we knew we wasn't gonna make it out. And USP, and you was there too, USP Atlanta was so rough that me and my brother, we had one of them meetups, like I say, me and you have. And we got in the room and we were crying. We like, bro, because like I ain't never been to the state joint. I ain't been to Gladiator School. I ain't been to after school detention. None of that stuff there. So that place in USP Atlanta, I don't know why they started me there. But me and my brother, we sat in that room and we cried, you know, and we said, man, look here. We probably not gonna make it out of here. So when it go down, man, we gonna fight together, bruh. We gonna die together, bruh. And I want y'all to feel it like I'm already emotional, so it just we finna go somewhere. Cause I know where we going. Yeah. You don't know where we going, and he know where we going.
So let me just elaborate a little bit on why they sent you there. The system is designed, first of all, to let me say this. When you come into the system as a black man, a so-called black man, I'm gonna use that term, and they send you to the penitentiary, they don't have no intentions on you making it out. That's the first thing. You may not understand that, but they don't have any intentions on you making it out. You know what I'm saying? And there's 2 ways that can happen. You're gonna either kill somebody or somebody gonna kill you. Mm-hmm. That's number 1. Mm-hmm. The second thing is they mad at you for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and even if you had 5 years, and you and in some kind of way you was able to get those 5 years without doing what they wanted to do, you was going to that penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? And when I was in Atlanta, they sent me to Atlanta, even though the judge had them recommended me go to Miami.
Me too.
Yeah. And so when I got to Atlanta, when I got there at the time was one of the deadliest prisons in the United States.
Yes, sir.
The week before I got there, it might have been a month before I got there. I don't know, you might have been there already. The dude had killed a police officer with a ball peen hammer. But that's probably the extent of the violence that I think. And I'm not here to give you no story, but those stories about you hear all these stories about prison. Nah, we gonna give you some stories, but a lot of the stories that you gonna hear from me and this brother, it's gonna be some good stories in a bad situation.
Yes, sir.
Because being reborn in life takes on the definition of changing your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when I got to Atlanta, you go through this dungeon, and the dungeon is like you have to understand the psyche they play with you. You go to this dungeon, all you hear is clashing of cells, keys jangling, people screaming, and when you look around the walls are like. The walls has this death look to it.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? You can see blood splatter or whatever on the wall.
Sir.
It's gruesome. You know what I'm saying? And you taking all this in. And so when I'm going through there, I'm knowing what I done been through in life. I'm saying to myself, now, damn, I ain't gonna make it out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking who I'm gonna kill or who gonna kill me. I ain't gonna let nobody kill me. Mm-hmm. So my mind is who I'm gonna kill. Mm-hmm. So when I first get there, through that process, one of my homeboys, and I'm not gonna call his name.
That's right.
He gave me 2 knives. I had 2 knives when I first got to Atlanta. And when he told me, his words was, "Boy, I know you. But you gonna need these." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is another thing. When people have defined you, they have an expectation of you.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to be careful when you let people that have defined you. Mm-hmm. So he had done defined me. Oh, this my nigga from the streets.
Yes, sir.
And I was willing to take on that definition because I'm just coming in.
Yeah.
So I had a knife. I used to run a lot. I had a knife down to the rec yard where I run at, and when I go out there, I know that knife at. Mm-hmm. And I had one in the where we slept. Mm-hmm. But after a while of me sitting there with this knife, with these 2 knives and worrying about them, because they bring on stress.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Brother. And every time you looking at somebody, you wondering who you gonna have to use this knife on. And I'm like, and one day I had to think to myself, I'm sitting down, I'm like, but damn. Nah, this ain't what it is, man. So I got rid of those knives to make a long story short, and I picked up one of these. This was my knife, and I picked up one of these, and when I started doing, I had, I wanted to tell my story. I had several people want to tell my story, and I wanted to just write. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not in a million years I ever thought I'd be a writer, or even entertain the idea of becoming a writer, more or less an author.
Yes, sir.
But I picked up one of these, and I just used to, write down notes all the time, and and that's basically. Then a good blessing was I didn't stay in Atlanta for that long as my brother Sonny did. Mm-hmm. They had this huge migration where a prison came open, and they got me up out of there for the most part. So
let me jump in. So Marvin, I had told them, my people, that knife story.
Yeah.
I told them so I liked to smoke weed. They gave me a knife and weed. So I walked around with a limp with the weed in my shoe, not knowing if they gonna catch me with it, not knowing if they gonna catch me with the knife, not knowing if I'm gonna be able to use it. But I wanna say this, like, in my content that I have, I break things down to a science, right? And so I'm not one of those that was pushing a knife.
Right.
I'm not one of those that were knocking people out. I'm not one of those. At some point when I got my bearings straight, I searched to find God,
Right.
right? But when I walked in that place and it dawned on me that I really had 35 years, bruh, I began to study things that perhaps I might could fall victim to. And so when I seen a brother that was a homosexual in prison, in my mind, I didn't know if he got tricked, if he was like that when he came in. Is it some type of force that'll sweep you up, and then before you know it, like some people say, before I know it, the swipe was in my mouth.
Yeah.
So I studied that. How did he begin to do that? And I had to be strategic in my study, because you got homosexuals in prison, they'll kill you, man.
Yeah.
You know?
But one of the things is let's clarify this. When you go to prison, it's very seldom that someone would force you into homosexuality.
That's right.
It's very seldom. I'm not saying it don't happen. I know you got people with these rape cases, these rape stories. That's cool. But from what I seen, a lot of times when you come to prison, for the most part, you become what you entertain.
Mm-hmm.
In your duration of spending time in prison. Just like he said, he wanted to study. He became what he entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And this brother, and I can tell you for a fact, from what I seen, this was the most studious brothers that I can think of in prison. So you become what you entertain. So if you come in there and you want to entertain drugs, if you come in there you want to entertain gambling, if you come in there you want to entertain whatever going on in your mind, that's what you're gonna become. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And in the end, you got to understand that those things are consequential. They come with consequences at some point. So, homosexuality may come with AIDS or something like. And then the thing is, if you in prison, if you got caught in a homosexual encounterment or act, they had to notify your family.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so there was consequences behind the things that things that you entertain. Mm-hmm. But they ain't gonna notify your family that you in there studying to be approved. They're not gonna notify them about that.
Period.
You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna notify them of anything that has to do with positivity that you're in prison. And you have a choice. Two choices, and when you get there, you can choose the negative route, just like the streets.
Yes, sir.
Or you can choose a self evaluation route, a self reflection route, and move and think about, even if you don't foresee an ending to your prison sentence, you want to better your life, and that's what we mean about changing your mindset. And being reborn. But yeah.
So and before we dig into the subject, y'all log on to my YouTube page at Albert Sonny Campbell, man, and share this right now, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And so I wanna say this before we delve into our subject matter, that I'm hard pressed to find anybody that been to prison and got out that have accomplished a series of things that I have accomplished since I've been out. I'm not saying that people that got out that's not successful. Brother Marvin got out. My brother named Marvin got out. There's a lot of successful people that got out. And so when you listen to my content, I'm telling you straight off the bat right now, I got the clemency from Barack Obama. Right. And in saying that, my case had to go before subcommittees. You ever seen people testifying before subcommittees, colonels and chiefs and all that? Well, my paperwork had to go through subcommittees in the White House. And so my love for my God and my love for my people and the pain that I felt in my heart and in my spirit for everything that I went to, God has blessed me to have a total transformation. And so I never came on and really addressed to our family who it is, because sometimes, you know, but Brother Marvin, you will have people that been places where we've been, that kind of remember us there. But it seemed like when we try to start expressing, doing something, but they might say something, crazy. A brother commented on my thing. He said, "Man, I see you sharing your homosexual experiences, um, and you supposed to be a man of the cloth, teacher of Islam, right?" So that let me know I never told my audience nothing about Islam. They don't know if I'm a Christian or more or not. They don't know. I don't even say that. I don't say much about myself. But any man that been in prison with me, any CO, any warden, any captain, whatever, if they been in a prison with me, bruh, I'm totally different from anybody you ever seen. And so we're going to delve into that, but I just wanted to open that up. And I want to now, Brother Marvin, I want to go into our conversation.
Okay, let me just. Okay, we can go into the conversation. But let me just elaborate a little bit on what you said as far as Islam. Brother speaking on you about Islam. I was in prison with Brother Sonny, and you know, I'm gonna just say this, and then we can move on to the conversation. I am a Muslim as well. Brother Sonny is Islam,
Yes.
but my commitment to Islam while I was in prison was, and I'm just gonna admit, and I'm just gonna be honest, it's very dissimilar to his commitment to Islam. This brother prayed 5 times a day consistently, and every event as far as trying to get brothers, transform brothers, I seen this with my own eyes, and I was kind of amazed. I used to watch this guy, and I used to be like, damn, and wonder how can I be like that, and I couldn't get like that. I couldn't get to that commitment, and I'm just telling you, I couldn't really get to the commitment level that I seen him at in prison. And not only was I impressed then, I'm also impressed now to see him as he get out, doing the same thing that he was doing in prison. This is almost like a untold story. Most people gonna talk out of their situations. You know what I'm saying? We always commit to something while we're in a situation, and once that situation is over, you know, the commitment it gets lost in the shuffle of life or elements of life as we move on, as we move forward. I haven't seen that yet. I've seen people that get out that's done 15, 16 years, they right back on the streets right now trying to do the same thing. And so, and I'm not gonna even lie to you. I mean, the devil don't try to trick me back out there. So, you know, when you committed to something, you know, 23 years or 22 years is not a cakewalk.
No, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And when I tell you, my little niece told me that we gotta repent. When I tell you we suffered in prison, you know what I'm saying? And that prison experience was traumatic. When I tell you this, you know, you got to believe it, because I right now I'm committed to it. I started working in my 50s. And so you have to shit, man. I don't want no more part of that. And you could have, man. I'm one of them ones on the street, but I just say fuck the feds.
Yeah.
Man, I don't care nothing about no feds, man.
Let them bring it. Huh?
Yeah, man. Shit, man. Fuck the feds. Until I found myself sitting in prison facing 30 years of life for 6 bags of sugar. And one of my homeboys don't put me there. But let's get on to the story right now. Okay. So this is how we came along with this. I was telling Brother Sonny the other day, we was talking on the phone.
Hey Marvin, let me before we get into this. So if you got any questions, like we got questions coming in now from our YouTube page, and I got a question from 510 Fitness. Asked me, did you engage in homosexual behavior? Good question, right? Because I detail that thing when I talk about it, right? So I'll just say this, like, I only had 35 years, man. 35 years for me, if I had to do that, that's not enough time for me to have homosexual tendencies. But if I did engage, because see, I'm so transparent, right? If I did, bro, I would come on this podcast because I know we got some young brothers that's because of their actions, they're getting ready to go in places like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did, and my God is my witness, I would tell people what I did. I would tell people how I got tricked. I would tell people if I'm still it now. I would tell people if I recovered from it. It would be a teaching moment, right? So I look at my prison experience as an exploration. You know what I mean? So that I could come back out here and share this information to my brother. And once again, like, so we gonna run down and we gonna get, I was not a homosexual. I ain't never stabbed nobody. I ain't never knocked nobody out. I ain't never been a shot caller. You know, I searched for God. When I heard a person told me that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad can get me out of prison overnight, and I had my appeal in and I wanted to get out of prison, and anybody that told me that they could have got me out of prison, I'm glad a faggot ain't told me he could have got me out of prison. That joke, you know how to joke a little bit, but when they say that man could get me out of prison, I say, where he at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that started that. So the answer to your question, my brother, I've never, dealt in homosexual activities.
And I second that motion, but I'm not gonna even dignify that question with an answer to that extent.
Yeah.
It seems even to me, it's nonsensical.
Yeah.
But I take on the same expression as my brother Sonny.
Yes, sir.
But we do appreciate the question. But let me say one thing about homosexuality. When I got to Atlanta, which is, they say right now is one of the little hubs of homo. There was a lot of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like an introvert. I just want to sit around. I just want to watch everything.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But the most important part about it, I became a what they call those lawyers in prison?
Paralegal.
Yeah, but what's the institution name?
Jailhouse lawyer.
Jailhouse lawyer. And so I worked on a lot of people's cases, but I never even had a homosexual even come and ask me for any help. Period. Mm-hmm. I remember. I think you remember. And in fact, when we was in Atlanta, what was the name homosexual? Ooh-wee.
So like I tell them all, ooh-wee. So I know a lot of encounters, but like this podcast is the bill. It's not to call somebody out. It's not to say this and say that.
Yeah.
It's just, the point is how not to get you to that point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway,
But you get your own self to that point. Like I said at the beginning, whatever you entertain is what you're gonna eventually become. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We didn't entertain those. I don't gamble out here. I don't smoke. I never did in my life. And so my ultimate goal when I got in there and found some sense of consciousness was to get out of prison and not to get deeper into prison. And that was my focus. That's what I kept my mind on. I mean, and for the most part of what I did, I was in the law library or in the rec yard. From the law library to the rec yard, running, working out, to the dorm. That was my pattern for years. Mm-hmm. And it's almost my pattern now. So anyway.
So once again, y'all share this message. Go on my YouTube page at Albert Sonny Campbell. Subscribe. Hit the like button and share this content, because you not gonna hear this type of content from nobody but Sunny Days 305
That's right.
and the great people that we bring. So let's go, let's delve in, let's go deep sea fishing, brother.
Okay,
right
let's
now.
go deep sea. So one of the reasons, one of the um things that kind of like brought this. This is kind of like a rush thing. We had to just throw this together because we was talking the other day on the phone. I was telling Brother Sonny that I was in Publix picking up a few things, and while I was in Publix, as I was exiting, I was approached by this Spanish lady who I'd never seen before in my life. And as she approached me, she said to me, "Hey, can I have a word with you?" And first I'm thinking in my mind, what did this lady want? And she said, so I agreed. I said, yeah, how can I help you? She said, well, I passed you in Publix. And when I passed you, you set off a strong vibration to me. These was her words. And in that vibration, God started speaking to me and telling me some things that he wanted me to tell you.
Yes, sir.
And so when she said that, it kind of froze me. And she was standing there, and she had her husband over there and her daughter. And as she began to speak to me, she started telling me that certain things going on in my life that she had no reason to know. But these things she was telling me was so accurate about how I've been struggling with something, and how I've been trying to move, and things haven't been working out for me. And I know you've been it's telling me that you've been at it for a while. And as she's talking, her husband walk up and he starts being more specific.
Come on, brother.
About the struggles. He starts saying, well, I see you've been trying to it's telling me you have a business. And you've been struggling with this business, but I'm here to tell you, God told me to tell you, don't give up. It's things is finna start happening for you. And he went into more depth. He started saying, I know you, I can feel it that you want to give up. You asking yourself, why should I? You don't put in there. These is his words. And he says, you even have people around you that's telling you, man, you putting too much in that. You wasting your time. Let that go.
Yeah.
He said, no, don't let that go.
Yeah.
He said, God told me to tell you finna be all right.
Yeah.
And so the most important part of this interaction with these people came from, like I told Sonny, was I'm not an approachable guy. And so one of the main points that I got of it is that if these strangers were walking up to me and telling me about my life, they also told me about there was a lady that I had in my life and she had some sickness, and all these things were true, were accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the thing, when I was explaining this to Sonny, and I was telling him, and which goes back to his presentation, was I was saying, like, Sonny, man, damn. The reason why I know how this feels, because it's telling me that God has forgiven me for all the shit I've done in my past. Because otherwise, if he hadn't forgave me, why would he be sending these people to me to give me this message? It's telling me everything's gonna be all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I was like, because I've been struggling with that since I've been home, because I lived a vicarious lifestyle. As we both did.
Yes, sir.
We from the street, we get into that lifestyle, and it is what it is when it comes. And so I've been having problems since I've been home with that past life. And so that mess was telling me that God had forgiven me. Now I had to find a way to forgive myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how, and Sonny elaborated on that, and this is how we ended up here.
So I was glad that Marvin had even brought that subject up. And as a matter of fact, one of my longtime friends that I grew up with, I had explained to him what we was talking about, and then I had to go into like a counseling session with him, because that stuff start. You know how you in the Exorcist where you see that the girl throwing up that stuff, you know,
Yeah.
regurgitating that stuff. And I talked to my friend, and he regurgitated that stuff, right? And so even though I was able to make some sense out of what Brother Marvin was saying on the forgiveness tip, because there were some areas in my life that I had dealt with a little while ago that I thought that I had dealt with, and then I didn't think about the other things that was dealing with me as far as regrets. Like, for one, like, I have a daughter that passed
Come on, bro.
from sickle cell anemia, right? At 23 years old. When she was 8 or 9 years old and started going through her crises, she told her grandmother that God robbed me of my daddy, right? And when they expressed that to me on the visiting room, I had my own truth as to what she said to God. And how I took it in is, I robbed my daughter of me. And so in my mind, you know, I be thinking, man, like, man, if I would have been home, man, I could have did this, man. I could have took care of her more. Maybe this wouldn't have happened and that wouldn't have happened. And so ever since that I got that phone call, well, ever since I heard those words, my spirit never got a rest, brother. And then when she finally passed, when she finally took her wings, it compounded that, along with the incarceration, along with trying to maneuver through these vipers every day, brother. The more classes you took in prison, bro. After you beat down, after they label you a convict, bro, I don't care what you do. You could write 50 books. You could get your master's degree. You could get all that. When they see you, look like they act like you gonna talk them out of their drawers or something. And so after going through all that, bro, while at the same time, man, asking God, man, help me, man. And so I started dealing with that. And I started to understand that through my spirituality, there's some things in life that I could not have changed even though I was present, right? And so I explained to Marvin about a frozen state. And this is for my people on the street. This is psychology from people who ain't never went to school. We just experienced this thing. So when we go back into those old regrets, right? Because some of our sisters and some of our brothers, bro, they was getting molested when they was children. And then a lot of people took that on as if it was their fault. And some of them, they never dealt with that since they was 2 years old and 3 years old and 4 years old. And so when they try to get in a relationship, and not even a platonic relationship, even a friendship relationship or a friendship with a pet, bro, it's something that's going to impede them from giving them all that they could give, because once that thing pops up, once my daughter picture pops up, I go into a frozen state. And it takes a while to freeze something. I don't know how long it takes to freeze something. Some people know how long it takes to freeze meat. I don't know how long it takes to freeze the mind. But it takes a long time to freeze something. And when I even think about meat, ground beef that our mom used to put in the sink and run water on it, they might run water on that thing for hours before it thaw out, but it was a frozen process it had to go through.
That's a great analogy.
And then it had to go through a defrosting process. Some people, that thing take 25 years. Some people never get over that in life. And so you get those triggers that come back and they trigger you. And so I see a picture of my daughter, and then I think about, she say, God robbed me of my dad, and I'm frozen. And I was growing and I was moving and I was pushing my books and I was in a circle of brotherhood raising people up. And when that thing come, it free. And so the process of freezing start coming. It's a process. It don't freeze like that. Because the temperature got to get down to 33. You got to get up to a freezing temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And so it freezes me in that state and it stops me in my track for any and everything that I'm doing at that moment. It ceases to stop. And I said to myself that life and things in my past, it has to stop me from freezing, because anything that is not moving, it decays and it dies. And so every time a trauma freezes my mind, a part of me that I've been working to cultivate, it dies. And then I have to reinvent that again. And this don't just happen for people in prison, brother.
So let me just add to that. I was there when son's daughter passed. We and you know, that was one of the most hurtful moments of my incarceration, to see my brother go through what he went through. And the thing about incarceration, what all you brothers have to know out there, is when you do time, you're not just doing time. It's not, it's selfish to think that you just the only one doing time, and then your actions is kind of like rooted in that selfishness. But when you doing time, everybody that you love are also doing time with you.
Maybe worse.
Maybe even worse, because now you out of their presence. And one of my biggest dreads, and that goes for anybody, is being in prison and losing a family member that they love, and being in a situation where there's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. There's no words that you can convey to the yourself or to your family members that would suffice to add them comfort in that moment. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest things I always dread, I lost my mother while I was in prison. And I did everything to at least go to her funeral. And because I was pushing the pen, they blocked me from even doing that. And so, the people that blocked me was mostly the black people looked just like us.
So Marvin, let me say this. I'm thankful to you, because you told me when I was out, you say, man, just go by there and see my mama. I don't need you to do nothing for me, man. Just go by there and see my mama.
Yeah.
And I used to go by there and ask her, do she want something? I went to she liked the sodas. I went to got a couple of sodas a couple of times.
Yeah.
And so I was, honored, to kind of be there for you, like you was there for me.
Yeah.
And so I say these things, and I have a brother on here talking about then don't commit crime. But anyway, I say these things, man, because, bro, this is real, man. And the reason why I create content, man, because I don't want my brothers, man, or my sisters, man, or my people, bro, to hurt, man, and suffer.
Well, to the person who say don't commit crime, you don't commit them, and then you don't see, and hopefully, God will bless you with the illusion of the freedom that you think you have.
Yeah, so because he crimeless, but thank you for chiming in.
Thank you.
So I'll say, like, every now and then, right? Me and Marvin and people like us, we have to get together and we have to talk, because, bro, we fucked up, man. And I'm gonna tell you, I help save people's lives daily. I'm talking about literally. I'm talking about going to get them and stuff. Like, I do a lot, and people look at me and they look at how I move, and they've been looking at me like this because I've been moving like this for the last 30 years.
No doubt.
And they be like, that boy sharp, man. That boy straight, boy. If it wasn't for him, man, this and that and this and that. But, bruh, like every day, bruh, every day, I ask God to help me, man. Because the things that they do and the mind that you have, bruh, doing all that time in prison, man, it takes somebody, man. And the people that knew us before we went in, bruh, they've been taking care of us so much. And we come out and they treat us like babies. Sometimes they act like we don't know what we're talking about. But every morning I get up, brother, I got to listen to meditation music. I got to listen to God tones. I got to meditate. I got to do a lot of things because it's some stuff in here that it got to get out of here, but I can't put that on nobody, but it's there, man. And it doesn't matter how eloquent your brother is. It doesn't matter because your brother got the clemency, brother. Every day, bro, it's a battle, man, to lead that mindset where you picked it up from. But once you do 30 years, they say, bro, if you was in a relationship with a person, it would take half of the time to get over that person, that half of the time that y'all been together. So if you've been in prison 30 years, it's gonna take you like 18 years to get over that stuff, irregardless to how you look.
And let me just there's a Supreme Court case, but let me chime on two things. First of all, on back to the shouldn't commit crimes. Going to prison for me was bittersweet. Although I'm not gonna even say I regret going. Although I have some issue with going to prison, while in prison I accomplished some of the most monumental things that I could have ever accomplished and being out here in the streets with the mindset I had.
Yes, sir.
And there's not a subject that you can get on that I can't get on.
Yes, sir.
Psychology, religion, medical, lawyer. I can get on any of those subjects with you. And I speak some extent of Spanish. And so prison saved my life.
So did mine too.
Prison saved my life. And I'm grateful, like I told son, I'm grateful for having him in my life. Even to the extent when we were in prison together, because it could have been tragic. And so prison saved my life in the sense of where I'm at mentally. Mm-hmm. There's not a conversation that you can have with me that I couldn't relate to. There's not. I'm a wordsmith. That also, I study words. You know what I'm saying? I became an author while I was in prison, as so did Sonny. And when I left prison, which was in December 11, 2020, I walked out with 26 manuscripts. 26.
Hold on. Talk about that.
Well, like I said, I never. When you look at me, I'm gonna just stand up for a minute. You looking at testimony right here. This testimony. See me? I run 5 miles a day. On Mondays, I run. I'm gonna just give you a testimony of what prison done to me and how God shaped my life and how I'm grateful for prison. So as far as committing crime, I'm grateful for prison. I run 5 miles a day. On Mondays, I run 5 miles backwards. On Sundays, I do 1,000, 2,000 jumping jacks. This is my running book. I wrote this while in prison. I teach you how to run. If you want to learn how to run and have some physical ailments, I can teach you how to do this in this book right here. I also wrote 26 books. See these books right here? This is the book. These are books of my series. And on the back you'll see it's like 18 of them. This is book 2, this book 2, and this book 5. You know what I'm saying? So this is what prison done for me. I never fathomed in a million years that I would be able to do this. This is physical. And the other thing, I got receipts. I brought the receipts with me. See all these? This used to be duffel bags of kilos, but this right now, there ain't no kilos in here. They bricks. These are manuscripts. This is what I walked out of prison with. This is what it's gonna be on Amazon in the coming months and years. I got them over here as well. Let's talk about prison. I'm gonna talk about prison. These are bricks. All these are manuscripts. This suitcase here is filled with manuscripts. I can't open it because it's gonna be hell trying to get it back. See my brother Sonny books right here? This is what prison got us. From the dope game to authorship. From the streets to authorship. This is what happened. This is what we come out with. This is our life now. And in fact, if you even got a story to tell, and you can't see me get it out, I'm the one to come see.
I'll be a witness to that.
I'm the one to come see about that story you're trying to get out your head. I can tell you a story. I'm gonna take you all through Miami with these books right here. You know what I'm saying? You can go to Amazon right now and find any one of these books. When I first got out, they told me, man, don't nobody read no more. Okay, you ain't gotta read. You know somebody in prison or somebody, go get a book for them. When they read these books here, they gonna love them. So we can talk about the streets. Don't commit crimes, but one thing about it is we all have a fate in life. So, you know, we can try to avoid that fate. Your fate not be like my fate was, and I guess that's what separates us is our fates and our personalities. So there's a lot of discussion about, you know, we can get into about why people commit crimes. We can get heavy into those subjects or whatever, but that's not the platform now.
For today.
You know, maybe later on, you know what I'm saying, we can entertain that subject.
That thought.
But
let's get back. Let's get back to it.
Yeah.
So when I went to a friend of mine, and he would have been perfect for this subject, I understood, bro, that. So he was telling me he raised up. He like this brother Greg Tice. He saved me and my brother life when I was 11 or 12 years old. Because after seeing my mom and her friends and all them shoot drugs and all that stuff, and me thinking my mom was gonna die, and I used to see people overdose right in our house. Overdose means like they really died, right? And as a young 8-9-year-old boy, I seen people overdose in our house when I shouldn't have been paying attention, because when we were young, but if you being grown people business, they'll slap your whole face off. But the reason I had to study, I'm a studier, and this is what I'm coming to find out about myself, Marv, and I probably learned it from that state. That's why I study things and I can articulate it, because I had to study how these people brought these people from death back into life, because in my mind, I was sure that my mama was going to OD one day. And when she OD, or if she had OD, and God may she rest in peace, I wanted to be the one that bring her back. I didn't want none of them ones that were high too, because the person that they were trying to bring back, they probably just about slipping in the OD in themselves. Mm-hmm. So I would have pushed all them grown folks out the way, because I would have had to been a expert on how to bring people back from ODing, because I didn't want my mama to die and I wanted to be the one to save her. That's trauma, man.
And just imagine a child experiencing that type of lifestyle of his parents day to day. Just imagine. And the thing about it is what people don't understand is we have what's called social sciences that exist out here that probably a lot of people don't even won't even to think about this. But we have social scientists in America that creates these that draws out the platform for these type of situations. When you see the word projects and these areas where projects are at, you have to and we use these terms loosely, but we don't understand that these projects are really what they are. They are projects, and these social scientists are able to diaphragm these situations where these type of encounters happen, where a child sees his parents on drugs or a child sees these type of scenarios. Because I don't know what book that was I was reading where they talked a lot about that. I think it's Becoming Like Gods.
Oh, from niggas to gods.
From niggas to gods.
Yeah, yeah.
It talked about it. When you read this book, you'll begin to understand how scenarios like he just explained with his parents can evolve. Because you're not gonna hear too many white people talk about experiencing that type of experience is what he just said.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But when you coming up in these projects and which all of us mostly did, all these areas where crime is fueled with crime, drugs, and violence. Unfortunately, these are the type of events that is going to be prominent in our neighborhoods.
So we right now we're talking about can't get over things, can't forgive ourselves for things that God had already forgiven us. And not only that, like, you have to go to prison for 22 or 23 years. I'm not to know what suffering is. And if I had to pay for things that I done to myself and things that I done to people, all of the agony that I went through, all the suffering that I went through, all the I mean, unless you want to do some little it's kind of hard. Unless you want to take a break and do something.